Hey guys. Hello everyone. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me? So guys, unfortunately, I got the time wrong. I got the time wrong. It looks like I have put the stream an hour earlier. Something's happened and I'm not sure what exactly. Um so uh I'm just waiting on a response from Hive Science. So it looks like we are 1 hour ahead of schedule. So blame God. Okay, just 1 second. Let me try and find out what's going on. Oh goodness gracious. This is so I've received GMT plus one, not G. There you go. That was the mistake I made. So I did the GMT. Oh God. And Hive Science is still at work. She is still at work, unfortunately. So, um, guys, what? There's a Oh no, seriously, is that a super sticker? I'm looking on what you call it. This is StreamYard, so I don't really know if that is what you call that thing. Super whatever, super sticker. So, guys, I'm going to crave your indulgence, please. Can we come back? Why? In an, no, that's not what I'm trying to do. Can we come back in an hour? Oh, sugar. Oh, honestly, I apologize, God. This is not. Oh, it's a super chat. Oh my, Apostle David E. Taylor. That's the first. So, Apostle David E. Taylor, your advice worked. You said to me, "Don't change anything in your channel. Just wait and reapply." And that's exactly what I did. I didn't change anything. Didn't change anything because I didn't see what on earth there was to change. All I do is review videos for the most part, videos on YouTube. The problems and just highlighting the problems with Christianity and religion. At first I was thinking, is it because I speak on Christianity? Is that why the channel wasn't monetized? And I honestly just thought, you know what? I'll just reapply. And David E. Taylor, not barely 24 hours later, I got the notification from YouTube. Welcome to the partner program. That was quite surprising. I was thinking, oh, okay, interesting. You're in YouTube jail. What have you done, Apostle David E. Taylor? What did you do this time around? That must be a prophet. Right. Okay. So is that the oh yeah, I think it tells you. It tells you there is okay. Oh wow. I'm new to this whole super chat. Is this a super chat or super sticker? This is my very first. So this is a moment to remember. Says now we've got to keep now you have to keep us busy or amused for an hour. You can do it. We trust you. I was thinking of leaving and then coming back. Hey, look. Okay. Oh gosh. I was thinking of this is the first. Oh my, this is something. Oh wow. How nice. Mark, hey, thank you. Oh gosh. Oh, this is awesome. You all know this is not about money, but It helps to grow the channel. It helps to, yeah, hopefully in the near future I can change this old laptop. But that's not the goal. The goal is to carry on doing what I am doing and, you know, not stopping anytime soon. Christianity is in trouble. Christianity is in trouble. If before I was, taking it easy, taking things easy, we're not taking it easy anymore because of the problems that Christianity poses on a daily basis. And the problem is we don't know who a real Christian is. Jesus won't tell us. Yahweh won't tell us. The Holy Spirit, none of these deities and beings, they won't tell us. They leave us to decide and to work out what they're trying to say. They left us an ancient book, a book that is no longer fit for purpose. Left us with that book and said, look, you want answers? Look in the book. Even when there are no answers, just look in the book, or have faith, or just believe. Very weird things they tell you to do. So many things that we experience today cannot be found in the ancient book. But somehow, if you don't believe in this ancient book, you go to hell. You will be punished for not believing in the right version of Christianity. Some Christians will tell you it's basic. Just believe in Jesus. That's all you need. Just believe in Jesus. So I'm supposed to believe that a God came down as himself. Guys, when you think about Christianity, when you think about the foundation, think about everything, it doesn't make sense. Hey, Jenna. Oh my, hello. Look at that. Hooray for finally getting super chats active. Hey, Jenna, thank you. Oh, wow, this is good. Hey, Hive Science. I should be there in like half an hour. Okay, Hive Science, I'll keep everyone, we'll keep chatting until you join us, right, guys? Or do you want me to go and come back in half an hour? Half an hour-ish. Okay, that's fine. I apologize, Hive Science. Maybe I got the timing wrong. I'm so sorry. Yes, S has been working her ass off and finally YouTube accepts. And the other day I was checking to see how many videos I have. I have over 500 videos. How did I do that? So when they said you are not eligible for the YouTube partnership, I was thinking, so where am I supposed to begin from? How am I supposed to go through 500 videos and rectify that? How on earth am I supposed to do that? That's why I said, you know what? I'm not going to bother, but I'll keep on doing videos and I'll keep on doing the live streams. I enjoy doing it. So how many? 721. Oh wow. Yes. My goodness, you really go in. Apostle David E. Taylor, it's your um your thumbnails. Your thumbnails do it for me. Your thumbnails. I don't know how you do them, but my goodness, I absolutely love your thumbnails. They they are so funny. It all comes down to numbers in the end. Numbers. That's what YouTube wants. YouTube wants its numbers, its views. traffic, just keep them coming. But unfortunately, when you're talking about religion, when you're talking about Christianity, Islam, unfortunately, you will not get traffic. People are not ready for these conversations. They would rather go to these charlatans that lie to them and tell them, "Oh, God is telling me you will receive money in your bank tomorrow." They'd rather have that than listen to you trying to point out to them that they're being fleeced, they're being scammed by these people. They know they want to have that, that feeling that there's a God and they have to pay money to this God. They have to keep on, it's like a top up. They have to top up their their financial, top up their love for this God. Can you imagine having a deity and you have to top up your love for this God? I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy, guys. Absolutely crazy. For YouTube, Mark. Hey, Esther, will you pull up the article about Dylan, please, and show everyone what Christians are saying? What's this about? Who's this person? Okay, 1 second. I'm going to have a look what this is about. That's a new tab. So who is that? Who's Dylan? Have you got the article? Is there a particular article I should be looking out for, or just type Texas pastor says, what the hell? Texas pastor says gay people should be shot in the back of the, oh no, in the back of the head. But why? Why? I'll share my screen, not to worry. Oh God. The next time someone tells me that Christianity, uh, it's a religion of love. Sorry, I beg to differ. I beg to differ. Sorry. Christianity is not a religion of love. Unfortunately, it's one of hate. The Bible is full of hate speech. That book should be tossed in the past. Guys, look at this. Texas pastor says gay people should be shot in the back of the head in shocking sermon. Pastor Dylan, I don't know how to pronounce AWES, I don't know how that's pronounced. Alls, Steadfast Baptist Church in Watauga, said gay people are dangerous to society and all homosexuals are pedophiles. Gay people are dangerous to society. How? How are gay people dangerous to society? That people want to engage in sexual encounters. I mean, if you don't understand something, just move on. Just move. Don't try and vilify things you don't know about, that you can't relate with. How is people having sex? How does that then become a danger to you? Okay, I get it. The Christians will turn around and say, but my Bible says, not my Bible. Do you realize that the Bible is just a book? God did not write the Bible. God does not write books. No God writes books. Any book that claims to be from a God was written by a man, whether it is the Torah, the Quran, the Bible. However, these messages are derived from whoever, someone had to write these books. There's no God involved in any books. So, fellow humans like you and I have put something in a book, and you use that as something to hate on others. Shame on you. Shame on you. All homosexuals are pedophiles. Guys, in fact, I'm not even looking at the chat. Let's have a look here. Guys, are you seeing this? Philip Grant, hello, good to see you. I'm full of promotion of bigotry, misogyny, slavery, and genocide. All in that book. It's rather unfortunate. Guys, sometimes I wish I could tell you how I truly feel. I wish I could tell you. Because I don't want YouTube to take down my videos, if you know what I mean. Because sometimes you really want to go in, but you've got to be careful. You've got to really be careful because you don't want to come across as well. Muslims will call it you're being Islamophobic. What would Christians call it? Christianophobic. You don't want to be seen as Christianophobic. Okay, send me your email. It's in the about section. So if you go on my channel, the one that tells you about me, the about section, you should see my email is there. Godless Sewing, hello. Sorry, Godless Sewing, and everyone who has joined us now. We haven't started. I got the timing wrong. My time zone is GMT. Hive Science is in CST or EST. I'm not entirely sure. So I set the stream an hour ahead. So right now she's on her way home from work and she will join us. I'm just here just to be the pretty face, just yapping away. I'd love to come to panel. Yeah, you can come. You can come and speak now until Hive Science gets here. How about that? I will. I'll send the invite. That's the invite there, Apostle David E. Taylor, full frontal. Oh gosh, shoot gay people. Oh, you don't know if you can join since you're in jail. Ah, click on the link and see if that would work. You won't be able to do it on your channel, but I think just click on the link and see what happens. If I don't see you here, then it probably didn't work. Then that means you can't really join in. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing collabs because it's not your channel. So nothing wrong in you. Ban evasion. They're not banned. People Thulu, hello. They're not banned, people Thulu. He's not banned. A ban when you're yeeted completely off you, that's you're completely banned. but he's not banned. He's only got a period where he can't live stream, he can't do anything on his channel. And him coming on my channel, he's only speaking on this conversation here. So no, there's no trouble with that. I'm on channel strike. So did you try clicking on the link and see what happens? Did you do something to piss the wife off? uh, okay, if you're not joining, then let's. I'll just read this. Oh, hey, here he is. Hey, hello.
Hey guys, yeah. So I was put in jail because I was trying to send you the link, but the video is extremely just hateful, hateful speech. I fair used to put it all up. It got taken down after 13 views, and I got put on community, like a community strike. Yeah,
Was that what got you?
Yeah, yeah. YouTube said
So
no.
Where's the video? Where's this video?
I was trying to send it to you in your email, but I can't find your email on the chat.
I will. I'll send it to you in the private chat now.
Okay.
So what's this video about?
Oh, it's so bad. It's some of the worst things I've ever heard any pastor or preacher ever, and it's real like. And the thing is, the video's been taken down, but if you download the app, it's called what's it called? Sermon, right? It's an app called Sermon. You can download on Google Play or App Store, and then look up Dylan Oz, and it's pronounced Oz, okay. Yeah.
Oz.
And I went ahead and I took down the whole thing and screenshot all of it. So I have it broken up into sections, and the one section where he's going on his rant about the LGBT community, it is some of the most horrid hate speech I've ever heard.
Wow, I need to hear this.
It's bad. It's some of the worst things. I've spoke to law enforcement up there. Yeah.
So this video is not on YouTube, is it?
No, oh hell no. No way. It got taken down.
That's why you
it's on. You can
encountered that problem.
No, you can find it on like the Young Turk channel. I think they have it, and they're doing commentary on it. But it's there, and it's real hateful. Like you hear people in the background of this church going, "Yeah, that's right, yeah." You know, so there's people soaking this shit in, and it's like, all right, this is pretty sketchy. You know, so what do we do? And I've spoken to law enforcement. I spoke to the mayor of that town today. I'm not going to say what we spoke about the mayor because we spoke off record, but he was a nice guy. But he said ultimately they're protected by the freedom of speech. I'm a veteran. I fought for the freedom of speech. Absolutely. What makes it okay is they put God in front of it.
Can I just say something about this particular comment? Comment warrior, the Jesus Christ follower, says, the Afro-humanist, why do you say Christianity's problem with homophobia? As a Lutheran, I see LGBT clergymen. Haven't I heard that the Methodist and Anglican churches are approving of gay marriage? A few days ago, I did a live stream on here highlighting the Methodist Church. The Methodist Church were putting into vote about the LGBT conversation, and the African pastors, they said no. They were the majority, and so because of the African pastors, they could not vote on the LGBT laws. And because of this subset of people, those people who identify as LGBT have to deal with this whole thing. So about when you say Methodist Church, the Anglican Church, I get it. Some churches are now starting to be more accepting. But it doesn't change the fact that the scripture, the Bible, says to stone these people to death. It doesn't change it. the church can they can change, they can try and be as modern as possible, they can be as secular as up to date, but it doesn't change the fact that there are passages in the Bible that talks about stoning people who men sleeping with men. It's right there in the Bible.
And it also says
And the unfortunate thing is that some people actually they put it into practice over in Africa.
And it also says too, if you're going to cast the first stone, you better be free of sin.
Listen,
if you're going to cast the first stone, you better make sure your ass is clean. You better make sure your hands are clean.
Full frontal, do you think that their asses are clean?
No.
Usually no.
No. This guy Dylan Oz we're talking about, I'm talking to some of my channel members, worried about his wife. Mm-hmm. What happens behind closed door with the way he speaks. And this guy barely looks like he just got off his mommy. This guy looks maybe he's 25 years old. And the amount of hate speech and rhetoric this guy spit in a 1 hour sermon.
Oh, please send it to me. I'm going to put my
throw your email in, and I'll send it over to you right now. And if you want to watch it at your own risk.
Oh, I'm not going to put it on my
yeah.
I only just got monetized.
And that's the thing. It can become, once you're...
And to think that there are pastors. Oh, and the other thing is, okay, so when the last... Oh, where's Full Frontal gone? The last church I was a part of was the Anglican Church, Church of England. And I was in leadership position in this church. Only recently did they say that the LGBT can... This conversation is a very recent thing. Did you know that in the Anglican Church, the vicars and the priests who identify, yes, you can be LGBT and be a priest, but you have to remain celibate. So you talk about the Methodist Church. Just the other day, there was a live stream, just right here, the Methodist Church, and how the African version of the Methodist Church said, no, you're not bringing this whole LGBT thing into our church, and we don't care whether you're American. These people are ready to, they're ready to take themselves away from the whole big setting of the Methodist Church. In the Church of England, Anglican Church, right, otherwise known as the Church of England, here in the church in the UK, these people they're late. They're late to the whole topic. They've only just recently started to accept that people can be LGBT, please. And then when you have a book that says stone these people to death, I don't care what you say. That book, the Bible, is full of hate speech. But that was Nano says, but that's the Old Testament. Oh, really? Oh, God. Oh, right. So let me read this thing, what this pastor is saying. What's his name? His name is Dylan Oz, a Texas Baptist church labeled an anti-LGBT hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center has caused outrage.
Let's focus on that. Labeled a hate group, okay? Labeled, a church labeled a hate group. I don't know anywhere in the fucking Bible it says a church be labeled as a hate group.
So the church is labeled as a hate group.
Funny how they have a tax exemption status, right? But they still get to use the tax exemptions and get all those fucking free rides and shit. But here they are, legit hate speech, labeled a hate group. What I urge everybody to do is file a 13909 against them, which is a tax referral form, and start getting their tax exemption status taken away.
Gosh. what is it with these? What is it with these religions and people's sexual parts, sexual body parts, what they do with their privates? What exactly is the problem here?
It's like they're hyper homophobic, right? It's like their own. It's like I hear this guy preach out against homosexuals. I'm like, okay, what's wrong with this guy? Why is he so focused on one group? What's his issue? What does he have against them so bad that he has to sit here and preach this hate? Like, come on, dude. You're supposed to be a pastor of a church, and you're out here preaching hate, not love. Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, let me read what he said. Um, made a comment, and his sermon was titled "Why We Won't Shut Up." I am angry this morning because our entire country is celebrating the worst sin in the Bible. Oz said during the sermon, referring to Pride Month, which commemorates the LGBT community every June. You know, a lot of pastors have this stupid idea where it's just like, oh, you know, God loves everyone and God hates the sin but loves the sinner. But people have taken this to such an extreme where they're saying, celebrate the sin, not just tolerate it, celebrate it, he continues. Let me show what the Bible says about these people. Oz read several passages from the Bible and condemned homosexuality as a sin. At one, at one point, he told the congregation that gay people are dangerous to society and that all homosexuals are pedophiles. I'm not saying that every single homosexual that's alive right now has committed an act with a child already, because it could be that they haven't had the opportunity yet. And they will at some point later in life, he said. This is why we need to put these people to death. Mm, mm, mm. This is why we need to put these people to death through the proper channels of the government. These people are not normal. They are not your average everyday sinners. They have no hope of salvation.
Sound,
At certain times, carry on, sorry.
it sounds like something ISIS would say.
Exactly. There's no difference. This is Christian ISIS. So at certain times during the sermon, people from the crowd could be heard cheering in agreement. Of course, they would cheer. Oz told the room that he thinks the solution for the homosexual in 2022 is the death penalty. These people should be put to death. Every single homosexual in our country should be charged with a crime. The abomination of homosexuality that they have, they should be convicted if in a lawful trial, they should be sentenced with death. They should be lined up against the wall and shot in the back of the head, he said. Many people on social media criticized the pastor, with some labeling his remarks as a violent threat to the community. Right. So, um, where do we begin with this? Where does one begin with this?
Wow.
Where does one begin? Where does one begin? Okay, you know what I'm going to do? Just a quick thing I want to do here. I want to just a quick check. Um, so reported cases of pedophilia. Who are the main perpetrators? Is that something we can go check? Is that something you think Google can give us answers for?
It's something you have to go to like the health department for. You'd have to look up
Okay,
like the
let me
statistics.
type. Let me
Yep.
type in here. Let me type in Google. So child. So I will be specific and do the United States of America because I don't think we'll have figures for the entire world.
If you want to,
So
you could look up like Megan's List, and you could find out where every person convicted of a sexual crime lives in America that have reported. So I mean, and it'll tell you what the crimes are.
Okay,
It'll tell you what they're
let
convicted
me.
of.
So, wait. So, perpetrators, right? Perpetrators of pedophilia, right? Do we do pedophilia? How do you spell pedophilia? P-E-A?
Is it? I think it's PEDO.
Okay, so perpetrators of pedophilia. Right. Okay. Child abuse statistics. Right. Let's see. Child abuse. Okay.
Yeah, it's PAE. I'm sorry.
Okay. Guys, if any of you find any information about this, please let me know where to find it. But here it says that over 60% of children who are sexually abused are abused by the people the family trusts. Homosexual individuals are no more likely to be sexually abused than heterosexual individuals. So, homosexual individuals are no more likely to be sexually abused than heterosexual individuals. I'm curious, that's not the information I want. I want to see if there are.
So check this out. I just found one. So for Texas, right? You go to texasdps.org. Here's one named John Valencia Ramon. Verification required quarterly. So
percentage. So Titan says to check. Titan says.
Okay.
Okay, you know what? I think what I need to do. Robert X says there is no link between LGBT and pedophilia. Okay, so link between LGBT and P.
So we're looking for anything? Are we looking for a percentage? You said, Esther. We're looking for a percentage.
Something. Just trying to see what figures are out there. Oh, Mark's got to go. Oh, thank you, Mark. Thank you for the super chat, super sticker, super something.
See you, Mark. Hail Caesar.
It was a super something. I can't remember what it was now. The Afro-humanist. I was talking to. Okay. No, don't be sorry. I'm trying to find what exactly to type in Google for the information I want. I want to see if there's any information about the reported cases of pedophilia and the percentage of the perpetrators, what sexuality they identify as, if there's any such thing. God. Facts about homosexuality and child molestation. Let's have a look. Right.
I'd have to look into the CDC or something.
Okay, listen to this, what I found. In recent years, anti-gay activists have routinely asserted that gay people are child molesters. This argument was often made in debates about the Boy Scouts of America's policy to exclude gay scouts and scoutmasters. It has also been raised in connection with scandals about the Catholic Church's attempt to cover up the abuse of young males by priests. So,
I'm wondering if that's where some of the statistics came from back in the day.
So
they were going off the church, right? church statistics, how many priests were molesting little kids, bam, there's your national statistic, because that's what they had at the time.
Just trying to see if there's anything. Okay, there's something here about typologies of offenders. The distinction between a victim's gender and a perpetrator's sexual orientation is important because many child molesters don't really have an adult sexual orientation. They have never developed the capacity for mature sexual relationships with other adults, either men or women. Instead, their sexual attractions focus on children. So apparently,
I have sciences here.
The perpetrator's sexual orientation. Okay, the Afro-humanist, there's a lot of figures. And okay, let me highlight the comment by Steve McRae, manager. Okay. Oh, hey, Beehive is here. Hello.
Hello. Hey. Sorry about the mix-up on the time.
No. Not your fault. It looks like it was my fault. We have an ongoing conversation before you joined Hive Science. I am so sorry, but this is interesting. There's a lot of figures and information out there, but you want to be careful about what methodology they are using to make sure you are putting correct. Okay, true. You're right, because it's not okay to just look at just anything on Google.
You can't know. You have to look at all the methods that they're using to gather the data.
Be careful. But I would not just use that umbrella term and say everyone who is gay is a child molester.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's pretty
just
damn
absurd.
Biased. Yeah, that's pretty.
It is
biased.
Absolutely. Yeah. It is. It's crazy.
Awesome. Yeah. There's a movement that is where it's not a real movement where these people are trying to say that that pedophiles are part of the LGBTQ plus community, and that's disgusting. And no, pedophiles are to be a pedophile. I mean, you're a criminal. If your actions, your orientation cannot be criminal. That's not you're not allowed to use use your criminal action as your orientation. It just doesn't work that way. Now, a pederast, something along those lines, where they're not actually acting on it, but they have those things and they're treating it or whatever. I agree that those people deserve treatment, and they should be. The fact that they are making an effort to say, I have this issue and I need to deal with it. I don't think that they're part of the LGBTQ community because, again, children can't consent, and our community is about consent. That's one of the cornerstones of our community is consent. So, they can't be, just by the very nature of what the orientation. It's not really an orientation, what it is.
You know this word, pederast. Before today, I've never heard of this word before.
It's the one who acts on it. Okay.
Did I have that backwards? Is pederast the one who actually does it? Okay. So I'm not sure. It's if.
Let me look it up on.
Tips. Wow. You learn something every day. So, I'm guessing phile is the thought, philia is the act. Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Pederast is one who engages.
Okay, so phile means to love, and philia means to love, and phile means lover of. Okay. Just like phobe is aversion to. Phile and phobe are like opposites. And then phobia and philia are opposites.
Oh God! Look at this! Look at this comment. Oh, not crazy! I was listening and looking at a few videos today about pedo behavior. Came across a video about a virtuous pedo.
I just sit there and think about that for a second.
That's just heartbreaking. Okay, guys.
Well, the most virtuous thing that someone with that condition can do is to seek help and take the steps to get help and make sure that they're in a place where they can't, or they're not tempted to engage in their disability, I guess. What we can call it, a mental disability.
Yeah, a mental health disability. Yeah, like a mental health.
So that's the most virtuous thing that it can do. Not to say they can't do other virtuous things that are separate from that, but unless they're making that effort, then they're not a virtuous person, right?
Oh. Okay. So now we'll get on to the subject of today.
Yes.
And that is evolution. Full frontal. The topic of the day is evolution.
Let's.
Thank you for sharing this with us. And it is something that we need to keep talking about, because how do you tell your congregation to shoot gay people in the head? In the back of the head? How do you do that? How are you different from ISIS? You're no different.
This is domestic terrorism that we're seeing in front of us.
It is, absolutely. And his name is Dylan Oz, I think. Dylan. Okay. Oh God, that's just so heartbreaking.
Evolution talk. I'm all about that.
Yes. And so, guys, you all know that I'm an ex-Christian. When I was a Christian, we were told that evolution was the devil's thing. You don't engage. Well, you can hear about it, you see it in the news, your teacher might speak on it. Yes, that's all well and good. But you are not to engage. You are not to let it sink in. You are to somehow rid your memory and your head of the devil's theory. And so I went through my years not knowing anything about evolution. So here I am today, and I need to know, because I'm no longer a Christian. And you see that bullshit creation story.
Oh yeah,
how did I ever believe in this Adam and Eve? How did I do? How?
Okay, and there's our full frontal. Are you sticking around for this? You all
are here.
Yes. Okay. Good. So
no, I'm open. I'm here for a reason, man. Yeah.
My presentation requires your all's engagement. Is why I ask, and the more people I have to engage with it, the better. Right. Because I need rebound things off of people when I present.
Do you want more people to join in?
I think that let's do like this. And then we'll do.
Somebody else wants to jump in. I'll drop out. And somebody.
No.
And we'll see if we get some questions or whatever after I'm done with what I present here, and then if nothing else, then we can just open it up and let some people in, and we can talk about evolution as a group. Okay.
Can you share? Can you share your screen?
Yep, I got my screen shared. All you got to do is accept it, and it should.
Okay, how do I do that? Oh God, I don't know how you do
StreamYard, it should be. Hold on, let me try. I'll stop sharing it and share it again. So watch to see if there's a pop-up that comes. Let's see here. Do you see it? Should be below the down there where all our little thumbnails are, where you can add people and drop people from the stream. There you go. Got it. All right. So, this really, I'm really honored that you asked me to do this, because there's dozens and dozens of excellent YouTubers and stuff that I could have suggested for this, or that maybe could have been more directed towards, so like an Aaron Ra type, who's directed more towards the phylogeny. And then there's Jackson Wheat, who talks a lot about like origin stuff and early life. And then you got people like Dr. Dan Carnell, who does genetics. And you got also channels like Gut Sick Gibbon, where Erica talks specifically about primate and human evolution. So there are a lot of great resources out there for you guys, and I think I should make a list up for you to drop out here in the description of the video to use for all your audience, to be able to help them engage with some of the great folks that we have here, just right in our little community, talking and teaching about evolution. And yeah, so what is evolution? Let's see here. So you all are familiar with this image. This is the famous March of Progress that's used as a version of the March of Progress. This is the famous one, but it is a March of Progress nonetheless. And this was the image that hung in classrooms for decades and decades, and kind of created this straw man idea of what evolution actually is and what is actually being taught, because it's a bit oversimplified, and that's really a problem with a lot of people. But it's to present a message of essentially. Hold on, let me pull my notes up here. So I'm rambling. Here we go. Yeah, one sec. Is this the right one? Okay, yeah. So what we look at when we see a March of Progress like design like this is a very simple one generation to the next, as if the animals changing over these short spurts like that. That's just not the way it happens. And it happens, evolution, what first thing that we need to do is wipe away this idea, because it is a bad representation. It served its purpose early on, and start looking at some different other ideas on how we can understand evolution. So the first thing that we want to talk about is that evolution is about populations, geography, and time. Those are the three principles that we're going to go over here today. So it'll be about populations. Evolution is not one individual moving down through the population. It's changes that take hold in a population over time. And it's important to understand that, people say, why don't we see evolution happening today? We do see evolution happening today. Evolution is a slow and steady progress with punctuated leaps caused by extinction events. But this clock here is a good example of deep time to try to lay the groundwork of how long it takes for these changes to take place. Now, reproductive cycle time is what's important here too when we talk about this time, because we see the Earth crust cooling at noon, right? At midnight. That's midnight. We have a period that we call the Archean, where we had Archaea bacteria appear, and that's about 2:05 in the morning. Eukaryotes, those are the group that we fall into. They appear at 5:28. Okay. Just to know that these are very simple organisms, and over this amount of time, they are. Yeah, we do see evolution happening today. I will get to that later on in the presentation. No worries. But those are the claims that people make, is we should see all animals evolving constantly. But we don't. If an animal becomes established in its ecological niche, in the environment that it's in, and that environment is stable, and everything about it is stable, a species can and will experience very, very little, negligible amount of physiological evolution over the centuries. Now, a good example of this is what they call living fossils, like you see with the horseshoe crabs and the coelacanth. 50 known major speciation events in my lifetime, hundreds of others. Absolutely, yes. There are speciation events. I guess I overspoke about that. I was engaging with the creationist argument that we aren't seeing new species erupting just constantly, and that's because it's going to depend on on the generational cycles of the organism. So you have things like bacteria that are reproducing very quickly. Even invertebrates like the bugs I like to talk about, they reproduce very quickly as well. They have generations that cycle through, and that's why we are able to use them as lab animals. That's why fruit flies, for instance, Drosophila, are the main when it comes to like studies, like the early work we did in Hox genes, for instance, was done in fruit flies. Hox genes are very important regarding limb development and so many other things as well, including wing development in some invertebrates, which is why the fruit flies and wingless fruit flies are so important to understanding the way that genetics work and how they contribute to the change in a species over time. Now, artificially, we can create speciation events in controlled settings, and we've been doing it for tens of thousands of years because we domesticated other organisms. We domesticated crops and animals. We domesticated canines almost 30,000 years ago, and you see the diversity we get from that length of time. We can really see a lot more changes in the genetics and in the genome and how they're structured. And when you can tell that this is a domesticated genome, genomes have very distinct schematics, I guess, to them. So, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, so I'm a little bit flustered because I come straight down here to do this. I felt like I was running late, and I apologize.
No. Listen. Just relax. Take your time. We're here for you, Bree. Please just relax. Take your time.
All right.
Honestly. And the other thing is, guys, the super chat thingy works. The super chat, what's that thing? Super chat, super what sticker thingies. They're starting to work. And I click the thing that says to turn them on. So if anyone wants to use that, please go ahead, do that. And Bree, listen, I know you just come from work. Just take your time. And the other thing I wanted to say to you, Bree, is
all eyes are on you, Bree. Take your time, take your breath. Everybody's watching you.
Bree,
relax.
Bree, I want you to, while you're doing this, I want you to pretend that you're speaking to people who, not pretend, but just imagine you're speaking to people who have absolutely no clue at all. Okay.
Oh yeah, I know. I keep talking to Titan out there and Peebo Thulu because they're my people and they're checking my what I'm saying too. Like I was trying to simplify it and say, people say you can't see evolution. Here's why, and they're like, no, here's all the evolution we see. It's like, guys, come on, I'm trying to not dumb it down. I'm sorry, that's a horrible way to put it. I'm trying to simplify it. You lose some nuance to that.
Yeah, don't dumb it down. Don't dumb it down. But just recognize
I should just take the time to explain what the words mean that I'm saying. Yes. Okay, so you got bacteria evolving at 2 a.m. and then you have the eukaryotes, which is our kindred, evolving at 5:28. Now they're still simple, single-celled. At this time, you start seeing about 6 o'clock. You start seeing these microbial mats of these organisms, all the organisms that have survived, just kind of forming on the seafloors. And the seafloors were pretty warm and shallow for most of this time period. For this huge time period, there wasn't a lot of disruption. Things stayed pretty smooth and non-tumultuous. There were weather or climatic events that happened that kind of sculpted it. But what we end up with for the majority of this early period that helped really define what life would evolve into later was these vast microbial mats where organisms it's where organisms started to work towards multicellular growth, started merging together, so to speak, and binding their cells together. It's where we see, they talk about the single-celled organisms in the nucleus and all these features that came into play. This was all cooking in these big microbial mats that covered the bottoms of the seafloors. Okay, for I would say, I'm not exaggerating when I say billions of years. It wasn't until later on that these microbial mats kind of broke down because we start seeing organisms with hard body parts and sort of breaking them down and consuming them. It was a kind of a perfect storm of change that happened at this period, because then we get into this arms race that leads to this event that for a long time we didn't really have anything before it. It was called they call it the Cambrian explosion. Now, the term explosion is a misnomer. It was like 55 million years. So basically, it's the same amount of time period from when the dinosaurs died to now is about the same window of time that this explosion happened. So if that's an explosion, then fine. But and on some schematics like this one, it will look like an explosion. But I think I have a different one that's kind of similar to this one too. Hold on. Is it that one? Oh well, we'll stick with the clock one. That's fine. I like the clock one. All right. I thought I had one with the arm, but it looks like it's got the image over top of it, so I can't pull that one right now. But so then we see shells and hard body parts start to form, and they were using these hard body parts, of course, to tear up this soft microbial mat that covered the world. And there's still places where you can see like an analog to these microbial mats. Like if you go to a hot spring, for instance, and look in there and you see all the different colored bacteria or the chemicals in the water affected by the bacteria is sometimes the results of the color. But you see the hot springs where they're green and blues and purples. The ancient seas would have looked very similar to that. They wouldn't have been quite as hot. They would have had different chemical compositions, though. And that's an important thing to keep in mind, is that the chemical compositions of these early periods is very different, not just in the seas, but in the air. You would not be able to survive on early Earth. So the organisms that lived back then were very different than us, and they had very different physiology. And for a long time, nothing really came out of the water and tried to breathe that toxic atmosphere above. The seas is where what we use in our bodies even today, as far as chemical composition, were us being carbon based with let's see, with trying to think all the elements that make up our biology, with sodiums and calciums, especially calciums during this explosion period. At the time that all these other organisms like the arthropods were forming these hard shells and armors and stuff, our ancestors were kind of lagging behind because they didn't form shells. They formed this little, it's called a notochord that runs up the length of their body. We have them right here in this fossil bed near where I live. We have these early life forms from this period. One of the best preserved fossil beds from this period, though, is in the Burgess Shale, where we see both the ancestors of ourselves and of arthropods, which are like insects and spiders and such. And they were dominating the landscape back then. Our ancestors were basically little worms with a little kind of rigid cord running up their back. That is the ancestor to our spinal cord.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah, go ahead.
You just talked about spiders,
mm-hmm.
and I know you have got a beautiful selection of them.
Yes, I do.
Would you show us any of these by any chance?
Spiders, let's see.
Or just whatever you've got in your collection.
Yeah.
As long as there are no snakes.
No, I don't have any snakes down here.
Thank you. Yes.
I do have tortoises, though.
Oh, yes. Oh, tortoises, absolutely. And please, can we put the link to Hive Sciences channel in the chat? Okay, I'm going to hang on. Let me make you. I'm going to make you. Let's make your screen big. Let's see what this is.
Now, scorpions, arachnids in general, were one of the earliest organisms to make the migration onto land. That includes the ancestors of our little spider here. They were very, very scorpion-like until the Mesozoic, till the time when the dinosaurs were around. But in these early days, when organisms were first coming onto land, some of the earliest adventurers were scorpions. So we had these brontoscorpions that were huge. They were the size of like a dog. They were massive animals, and they were considered to be either potentially aquatic, but also semi-aquatic. But we know that we have trackways to show that other groups of scorpions were definitely moving on land at the time. And there were other myriapods, which are the ancestors of millipedes and centipedes. There were those on land too. It's kind of up in the air about which one got to land first. It's also up in the air about which one grew biggest, because remember what I said about the chemical composition of the atmosphere in the Proterozoic? That was what allowed these insects and not insects. There weren't insects that were too big at this time. We'll get there in a second. But these early arachnids and myriapods to grow to massive sizes. In the seas, there were Jaculopteryx, which was this monstrous scorpion-like organism that lived in the water. Was oceanic or marine. Now, on land we had, and later on in the Carboniferous, several giant arthropods. Now we're getting up into this period right around I would say about 10:30 on this clock. 10:30.
Let me take you back to the clock.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sorry. And the question is that spider alive?
Yeah. They're just very docile. Yeah, they just this one actually has an atrophied leg because
let me put you back on the screen so people can see.
Yeah. I don't know how well it's going to show up.
How do you do this? Right.
It's got a little leg.
Oh, it's alive, definitely.
Yeah, right there. There's a little leg. As it molts and grows, this little leg will get bigger. It lost its leg in an accident. I don't know what happened to it, but its leg was laying in its cage separate from it, and it healed and managed to survive it. So that's good. That's something that we can't do, again, because of the evolution. While they're doing all these this growing cuticles that where they can increase their size, and that's what their limbs come from, are these cuticles filled with basically with hydraulic fluid that allows them to pump up and down. That's how arthropods move, as opposed to what we have with muscles on the outside. They got these basically a hydraulic system in their body. So all they have to do is be able to regrow the cuticle around it, and it allows them to regrow their limbs. Our ancestors, because they were separate and we just grew that silly little cord down the back, the notochord, we didn't get the advantage of growing cuticle limbs that just are able to be replaced if they're removed. So that allows organisms like our spider here to actually sacrifice a limb if it absolutely has to, because it's being attacked by a predator.
What kind of spider is that?
This is a flame-legged tarantula from Mexico.
Flame-legged tarantula?
Yes. Flame-legged tarantula.
Flame-legged tarantula.
Yep.
Wow. Interesting.
That's the common name for it. I won't trip over the scientific name for it. Brachiopelma is the genus, but yeah. Anyhow, let me pull the. Okay, there we go. So where was I? All right, so yeah, right around 10:30, we start seeing, things populating towards land, and we see our ancestors start to, they had that little cord. They really developed more into to fish at some point during this period. Now, one important thing to learn about evolution is it's like an infinite continuum. There's no reset button where we set everything back to restart so new organisms can develop. Whatever new organisms develop, they have to be able to survive among the organisms that exist now. So that's why we don't see abiogenesis events. Abiogenesis is it just means the origin of biology. It means where did reproducing life come from. That's what we talk about when we talk about abiogenesis. Now, that's so far long ago and so far away that we just have right now hypothesis. And there's a few different hypotheses about how that happens. And we could do a whole nother stream on that. It's a whole different topic from evolution. But I think it's relevant here to understand that that's why you don't see abiogenesis events happen now. They have to be able to survive in the current ecology. Ecology is a cornerstone of evolution now. Once it started and once there were existing organisms to compete with, that's when the arms race starts. And we're still in that arms race right now. We're still competing with other organisms. We kind of separated ourselves as a species from that through, we have a domesticated genome too. I was talking about how we domesticated dogs earlier. So we domesticated ourselves as well. And I was saying that someone mentioned bees. Bees were domesticated very early on as well, about 2000 BC, I want to say. So when you domesticate a genome, it becomes very evident when you look at the genetic markers. So we can trace the lineages of different, let's say, dog groups back to ancestral population and kind of understand where they came from. That is what we do in the field of genomics, and that's what when we talk about phylogenetics. That's a big word. I'm going to break it down here. So there's philo for phylogeny. That's the classification of organisms. And the word gene is in there because we do that and we map that. We build that understanding based on genetics. So these maps are based not on fossil records or morphological similarities. They're based specifically on genetic markers. So when we build these phylogenetic trees, they're based on opening up the organism and looking at its genome and deciding what and where it came from. So we look for these little markers. They're called alleles. Alleles exist on this is a cross section of a double helix. If you're familiar with what a DNA strand is represented as with the double helix strand, this is where it crosses. This is what those look like, a section of that looks like. And each one of these little colored markers is a allele. Okay, so what evolution comes down to, and the bottom line of what we're experiencing when we study evolution, when we see an organism evolve, is a change in these. It's called a change in allele frequency. So how many and how often these appear on the section of your genes in your DNA. Okay, so there'll be variation. Sometimes you'll see some that are active. There'll be recessive ones on here that are present in your biology that you can pass down to future generations, but you may not express them yourself. That's why when we're talking about evolution, we have to look at a population. We cannot look at individuals or even a select group of individuals. We need entire populations in order to build a proper phylogeny and understand the genetics of an organism. And this is what we're going to be considering our genetics, because I'm not going to get too much into genetics because I don't know enough about it to feel comfortable laying it out. And what we're going to talk about mostly from here on out is going to be just speciation. So now that we know what is changing in the genes, those little markers, they vary. They change over generations. Yours are different than your parents. Your parents were different than their parents. Your children's are different than yours, and everyone is unique. But there are trends towards different markers becoming prominent in a population. Now there's a few different ways that happens. You can have, first we have divergence, which is probably the most common. It's what you see in the March of Progress image that we looked at the beginning. It's just, an organism changing from a parent population. So you have a parent species that expresses one group of traits, and then you have another group that expresses those same traits, diverging off into maybe a different environment. Maybe these ones move closer to the water to avoid predators or find a different food source. But at some point in the past, some event or ecological circumstances separated these two populations from one another. Now, the different genetic markers that we looked at before on those X's, this group has members who tend to express a specific grouping of those, or a specific arrangement of those alleles. And this group starts to express a different section of alleles as they move down and as they evolve and mutate towards being able to thrive in that environment. These features, these changes, and maybe a change in color of of their fur or their scales. It may be a change in their size, but there are going to be distinct, successful genetic arrangements, a different suite of traits that this group has developed to survive in whatever this different ecology that it's in over here. So if it has, say this is near the water, like I was saying. So they may be developing webbed feet. They may be developing ability to hold their breath a little bit longer under the water so that they can retreat into the water when there's danger. And this group might live in the forest and might have come from a forest population and continue looking very similar to this ancestral population. Another evolutionary feature, and this one is super interesting, is that we call it convergent evolution. Now, convergent evolution is where two different groups, they will converge on the same physiological features or the similar physiological features as one another in order to allow them to survive in a specific type of ecology. So what we can learn from that is that certain environments will favor certain traits. If an organism lives on an island, for instance, where there's no predators, it may be favorable for its descendants to grow larger, to be able to consume more nutrients to pass on to their offspring. So they may get larger and larger in this island environment where there's no predators, as opposed to being favorable to be smaller because maybe you're faster, maybe you can climb or run or fly. Lots of birds lose their ability to fly when they get on islands and experience this, what they call island giantism. That's just one of many changes that we can pick up on studying the physiological effects of these genetic traits and how the environment affects them. And having different groups develop the same traits really punctuates that sometimes in environment there's just a best way. Like let's look at a fin, for instance. A fin has developed in fish and marine reptiles that existed during the Mesozoic, and sea turtles, of course, and of the flipper of a penguin, whales and dolphins. There's a right way to move your body through the water, and as you pass on your genes, the more your genetics trend towards that right way to move through the water, the best way, physiological, the more adapted you are for that, and the more likely you are to have success in reproduction. So as this rolls downhill, we see a convergence towards the same body type. You'll see that with things like sharks and dolphins. They got the dorsal fin. They got the tail fluke. Now, I won't get into that now. There's a difference between the way their locomotion, that's between serpentine and undulating motion that you can kind of distinguish. But let's move on here. So as I was just speaking about whales and dolphins, there are things that we can tell about this population. Remember the organisms that we talked about a few minutes ago that were moving towards the water as they branched off from the ancestral population? Well, as they move towards the water, some of those organisms might spend more and more and more time in the water, produce more offspring that are better adapted towards this aquatic lifestyle because they have a better survivability rate because they're better adapted. So the more aquatic traits you have, the better your chances of survival in this environment. And that generation goes on. The ones that are not able and not viable, the features that are not viable and favorable in this aquatic environment, done away with. Throw them in the trash. But you know what? When they throw them in the trash, sometimes they leave behind some vestigial organs. So vestigial organs, despite what you might hear in some creationist circles, do not mean that they have to have no use whatsoever. That's not the case. They can have a secondary use that became their dominant use. They can have a completely new use. With the pelvis of the whale, for instance, it's vestigial. They were once there to support hind limbs, which the whale doesn't need anymore because it can be more streamlined as it moves through the water. Again, those favorable traits, weeding out those back legs because they're causing drag. That whale with the drag is a little bit slower than the others. He's going to be slower getting to the food. He's going to be slower escaping the predators. His bloodline is going to be doomed. Those aren't going to be traits that are going to be passed on when there can be a whale with no legs at all. Now, no legs at all is fine, but the pelvis is also used in copulating. That whale needs to be able to do his whale thing to the lady whale and produce offspring. So he still needs those hip bones, but the leg bones that were once attached to these, completely gone. We do see what they call atavisms in whales that'll still have vestigial hind limbs hanging off of the back end that really don't do much at all. Now, the other kind of evolution that we really didn't talk about too much was, what was that? That was back here, was this parallel evolution. And that's essentially the same deal I was saying, two organisms that keep that same relation to one another throughout this whole dynamic. So they kind of keep each other in balance. And then there's coevolution, where two organisms evolve together, where they are actually supporting one another or helping one another along. You'll see like the bee and the flower. The flower is brightly colored because the bee can see it. So they have a co-adaptation to interact with each other. But it's not always beneficial to both groups of organisms, because there's co-adaptations to predation too. You know, the bull gets bigger horns and the lion gets longer teeth, and they keep going back and forth like that. And that's also co-adaptation. They're causing each other to change because these traits that they possess are becoming unfavorable. The ones with larger horns are able to fend off the predator, to fend off the lion more. So they pass on their genetics. That's how evolution works. That's how population mechanics work. And we see different populations of different organisms do this all the time. We see it in real time. We see we have a population of sheep that got isolated onto an island that didn't have any predators. So they evolved eyes that face forward. If you've never seen one, maybe I should pull up a picture of it after we're done with this. But they're really weird.
Can I interrupt?
Uh-huh.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
Is that spider okay?
Yeah.
So the spider's okay with you just holding?
Yeah. Oh, she's a sweetie. Yeah, she's good.
It's a she.
Mm-hmm. I think it's too young to actually tell. I pretend they're all girls until they're not, because when you have pet spiders, you want females because they live for 15, 20 years, whereas the males live for 4 to 5 years or so.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know that spider.
Yeah.
She's
okay. Fine. Yeah,
okay,
she's gonna be all right. I might get a mantis out here in a minute, but I won't get them out together because then we'll have a epic battle on my microphone, and that could be bad for everyone.
Ooh.
All right. So, all right. Where was I? Okay, we talked about the vestigial organs. Next thing I want to talk about is ring species. This is another great example of evolution in action, where we can actually see groups of organisms evolving. What a ring species are populations that are able to interbreed with neighboring populations. So you got your this bird here can breed with this bird and this bird, but it cannot breed with this bird or this bird. Now, this bird here can breed with this one and this one, but it cannot breed with these two. And that is how we can designate that they have diverged from one another. In some populations, you will see when they get to this point. So since this bird can breed with this one, and this one can breed with this one, and this one can breed with this one, and this one can breed with this one, these two populations cannot interbreed. They are too distinct from one another genetically to intermingle. That's why this is a hashed up marker here, hashed up line, because these two species of birds cannot interbreed. but this one can breed with this one, and this one can breed with this one, and this one can breed with this one, and then this one can breed with this one. But together they cannot breed because they've been separated too long. This center here, we can call it a mountain range, but and for other species, it may be a lake or a river system. It may be, there was the Arctic terns, I believe it's actually the Earth magnetic field that designates which population goes where, and they breed in a circle like that. So a lot of variety and a lot of change. But in the end, you still end up with cohesive populations where we can see them change. Now, usually in nature, you expect that that this population may die off and then leave these two populations that can't breed with. This one wouldn't be able to breed with anyone. This one would only be able to breed with this population. Now, it's usually what we see. That's what we see with our species, for instance. We wiped out everything else. We have just these tiny genetic markers to say that, my ancestors as someone of European ancestry had Neanderthal, I always pronounce the TH and I hate it. Neanderthal is the right way to say that. Have Neanderthal DNA. Whereas you, being of descent from sub-Saharan African populations, you do not. You do not have that in your genes at all. So we are essentially a ring species there, with the Neanderthal population being kind of centered here in, it was in Western Europe, and that's where or was it in the Middle East? I think that the interbreeding was in the Middle East, but the Neanderthal population was all over Western Europe before humans came, before Homo sapiens came. Anyway, I'm getting to a tangent about human evolution. I got so much more to talk about here. And let's see. So another great example of how geography confirms our evolutionary history can be seen with the fossil record and extant species that live on the different, previously they were giant land masses. This one was called Gondwanaland, and it was in the southern continent. It was made up of, as you see, South America, Africa, India, Antarctica, and Australia. And there was a group of birds that lived on this continent called ratites. These birds were able to fly, lived all across this continent, and every corner of it. We have there, some fossil records of ratites from Gondwanaland. Now, when Gondwanaland broke up over time and the land masses drifted apart, distinct populations of ratites. Now, at the time that this was an island when they developed, but they all developed flightlessness independently. So this similar lineage of flying ratite birds all evolved flightlessness in isolation in different populations. You had the rhea in South America. Why do they have ostrich? This image might be bad because this has ostrich in South America and rhea in Africa, and that should be flipped. We all know ostriches come from Africa. I know not everybody knows rheas come from South America, but I sure as hell do. And then you got your emu in Australia. You got your cassowaries up here. You got kiwis down here, and also the giant moa. And in Madagascar, they had the elephant bird. All these different populations, all trending towards the flightlessness. Now in South America, there's there's one more ratite that still can fly. It's called a tinamou. It's terrible at flying, and they actually kill themselves trying to fly. They're so bad at it. But that's what the ancestor of the ratites was like. So when these populations found themselves on these isolated islands, South America was an island, Australia is still an island, and so is New Zealand and Africa. In that the ostrich evolved some secondary characteristics that helped it survive in Africa. We can definitely look at those. But they all, as soon as they went to these islands and went isolations, they developed that large body size, like we talked about when we talked about island giantism and flightlessness. So it is something that these are things that we can see happen. We understand, and this tells us that these continents were all together and now separated apart. And let's see, what else do we have here? The last one. Okay, yeah, that's all I got on that. So that's all my slides here. Now I went over a lot of stuff and I went through it really fast. So if you have any questions about anything, just hit me now.
There was a question. There have been a couple of questions, but I've missed some. But there was a question by Philip. Philip Grant asks, so what is the definition of a species?
Oh,
so this is what is your definition of species? Because I suppose there must be several definitions, but what do you think a species is?
Okay, a species is a population of organisms that share this similar or a very similar set of allele traits, or a suite of traits that they all share as a population. They may overlap with other populations, with other species, but I want to make it clear that species is a human construct.
Right.
Yeah. Organisms do not exist in these little bubble populations. Again, infinite continuum that branches off but never stops and ends again. It's infinite continuum of populations moving forward. So a species is just where humans have decided to draw a circle around a population that can interbreed and have a similar allelic frequency, and say that this is a species.
So can you see the comments on the screen?
Yes.
You can. Okay. So Philip says a horse can breed with a donkey to produce a mule, which can't produce fertile offspring.
And tiger can produce with a lion and produce a liger that's infertile. This is an example of what we were looking at with the ring species before, where I was talking about this population being able to breed with this population, being able to breed with that population. So you see things like that. Now, with the lion and the tiger, what you do is you take that bird that was in the middle out, the one that they could both reproduce with and produce fertile offspring. So you take that one that was in between the two out, and then you have those two populations which can reproduce but are not genetically similar enough to produce offspring that is in itself fertile. Good example of that is also a puma, a cougar, mountain lion. They're not actually part of big cats. Okay, so they're part of a different group that includes like house cats, right? So they can breed with a leopard, which is part of panther. Leopards can breed and reproduce with lions and tigers. Lions and tigers cannot breed and reproduce with the cougar. The leopard's kind of an intermediate there. So this shows that these populations are genetically similar enough to, in some cases, produce offsprings, but when they do, the offspring has what we consider a genetic defect. You see giantism in ligers. You see dwarfism in pumapards. Mules have a bit of a vigor to them that is quite a spectacle. Coy dogs have that same vigor. That's a coyote and a domestic dog mixed together. They call it the hybrid vigor, but again, they're infertile, so you got to keep reproducing them artificially.
I've got some questions for you. So, I'm an ex-Christian, right? Yes. Once upon a time, I believed the contents of the Bible. Not because I thought there was evidence, but because we were taught to believe without question, and just never questioned the claims of the Bible. And so by everything what you've talked about today, there are some things I need to find out of you, whether you think they are possible. These are things, the claims of the Bible. The first one is the talking snake that deceived the woman, right? So if evolution is possible, could the snake have spoken back in those days? That's the
Okay.
first question.
So
the other questions. So just when you answer that, then there's another one.
Okay. So a snake's evolution through we really see lepidosaurs become legless lepidosaurs towards the end of the Mesozoic, and they had ancestors with legs. So that's one thing that the Bible mentions, is that God took away his legs. So yeah, we do have ancestral populations with legs. So far, we haven't found any with vocal cords, or that we would think that would be able to make any kind of verbal noises. Obviously, we got snakes that can make hissing noises. That's pushing air. It's crocodiles will do it, tortoises do it, turtles do it, just pushing air out. That's about the most vocalization you're going to get out of a snake. I don't think that they have any ancestors. There may have been before they split off from the rest of the lepidosaurs. Before they split off from the archosaurs, even, there may have been ancestors that made vocalizations that were maybe chirping, like similar to what baby crocodiles do in the snake's ancestral lineage. But I do not think that there was ever anything that did any more than that. Now, another group of diapsids that split off, the dinosaurs, they have members that can talk today. So if you want to consider that, that since that birds are descendant from a common ancestor with snakes at the base of the reptile tree, then yeah.
Okay, so my next question is the Noah's Ark.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were taught the story of Noah, we were told that this truly happened, and there is evidence for the ark. You keep hearing these things in the news. Oh, they found a little piece of the ark over in Mount Ararat, whatever mount.
I just did a thing about finding the ark in Turkey the other day. Oh boy,
they keep finding the ark in so many different places.
There's a lot of arks out there.
Now, is it possible that there was I know the answer, but on this channel, there are people who come here and say, "Oh, evolution is crazy. Oh, it's scripture. The scripture, my Bible says this, and my Bible." But the Bible is clearly lying to these people. So just from your own little knowledge,
okay,
you think that story is possible?
So there's a couple of ways that people approach this. Most of the time, they don't say that all the species we have today were on the ark. They say they were divided into these kinds. Now, what is a kind and how many were there?
Someone asked Someone asked the question. It was there was a question about explain the difference between a kind and a clade. So maybe you could just wrap this question in with
because this is going to be totally relevant because we just brought up kinds. So they're not real clear on what a kind is, other than that they can bring forth, which draws questions like we were talking about with the mules and the lions and the tigers. Are they the same kind? Are they different kind? Where do we draw this line? Is a cougar a different kind? Are all cats the same kind? If all cats are the same kind, then why do house cats vary so much from one group to the other? And why aren't we seeing them diversifying at the rate that they did? Because the baraminology, the orchard of life, which is what they use in young earth creationism, baraminology is that there were root groups to each one of these kinds, and that's what they all descended from. The problem with that is that if the kinds that we have been able to get them to pin down and say this is a kind, like dog kind and cat kind, then we can start breaking that open and kind of seeing what kind of validity there is to it, because we just went over how cats diversified and how they're still diversifying, but we would expect for them to be able to reach the numbers that they had by the point in time that they were all throughout history. They've always been in the clades that they are. And I'll talk about clades in a second, I promise. That they would have to have been this massive speciation event where all these organisms were just speciating. Each new generation was a new species, basically, is how fast it would have had to go to get from the date that they say that Noah's ark set down on the side of the mountain to the point where we're talking about historical history, which is only, if you look at the book, just a few hundred years. How much speciation would have to happen in those few hundred years in order to come up with all the species that we have in modern times? You would be seeing, if speciation could happen that fast, we would be seeing it today. There would be, every generation would be a new species. It would be evident. Their argument is always that, these are the same kinds that we started with, but they would have to be, to account for all the species we see on the face of the earth, they'd have to have done this hyper evolution. So they want to scoff at evolving from single-celled organisms to us over a few billion years. They're wanting to tell us that happened in a few hundred years in their model. All right, and a clade is a...
No, a clade. Oh, I thought it was a clad.
Yeah. Well, the proper word is clade, C-L-A-D-E. I think that they dropped the E off there. But so a clade is a group of organisms with a common ancestor. So, like when we talk about dinosaurs, how they define the clade Dinosauria is the animals that share a common ancestor, or that share a common ancestor between a barn sparrow and a triceratops. Anything that fits within that group is in Dinosauria. The clade Homo includes Homo sapiens, Homo neanderthalensis, Homo heidelbergensis, Homo habilis, all these species of Homo. That's one clade, but that clade exists inside another clade, which is the hominids, which includes us, Homo, but also Australopithecines and the other great apes, chimpanzees, gorillas, orangutans. And then that clade exists inside another clade that includes the apes, like we talked about, which we're part of that ape clade that we just went over, which includes those apes, and also what they call old world monkeys, which are like baboons and macaques. The snow monkeys, all these old world monkeys that are from Africa, Asia, and Europe. And so we're part of that clade. We are old world monkeys. And then that clade is included inside another clade, which includes old world monkeys and their cousins across the Atlantic and South America, the new world monkeys. So that's the simians. We're in that clade. We are simians. We're part of that clade. Then the simians are part of a clade with, it includes lemurs and lorises and aye-ayes and these other little lesser primates is what they sometimes call them. They're just more basal, more like our ancestors were. And those are the primates. And then you keep going back. You can go, then that group is in a clade that includes also the what they call the flying lemurs. And then colugos is the proper name for them. And then that clade is in a clade with rodents and it just keeps going back like that. So clades are nested within one another. It's just a group that shares common ancestry together. And then then that group is part of another group that shares common ancestry. And then that group is part of another group that shares common ancestry, all the way back to what we call Luca, the last universal common ancestor. I don't remember what the question was.
No, there was a question about the difference between a species and
between a kind and a clade. Yeah.
No, sorry, a kind and a clade.
Yeah.
I've heard so many new words. Yeah.
Did you write them down? Because if I said any words that you don't know what they are, or anybody in the side chat does not know what they are or wants me to define or attempt to define, please let me know. I'm not trying to talk over anybody's head. Definitely doesn't help anybody.
Someone did ask, I think someone asked a question. It says so genus. So genus is a clade.
That's how it would work. Yes, a subgenus would be the subgenus would be a clade within the genus, and then the species would be the clade within the subgenus. The Lorax is in a genus all its own, though. It just speaks for the trees, because they don't have any tongues.
It's like it's elephants all the way down, except it's clades.
Well, all the way back
Beat
to Luca, the last universal common ancestor. And when you think about Luca, you can't think of it as a single organism. Luca was part of a population itself, a single-celled population. But all extant life shares that common ancestor. And Luca had ancestors too, and there were other clades around at the time of Luca that didn't leave any ancestors at all. And there's a lot of clades that didn't leave any ancestors at all. The tree of life is a mess. It's a tangled mess. It's beautiful. It weaves its way throughout every inch of this planet. And we're slowly killing it as a species, but it's a beautiful thing before we get our hands into it.
I'm going to ask you a very weird question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious how you answer this question. It's a question that religious people like to ask the non-religious. They ask, how can something come from nothing? From everything what you have described today, it's obvious to me that something didn't come from nothing. It was a very long process. Everything we're seeing today hasn't come from nothing. It's come over time, has just evolved over time. So, but if you were asked that question, how can something come from nothing? How will you answer?
Well, first, I would want to say that I do not believe in nothing as in the absence of anything. I don't think that exists. Even in deep space, they see is Titan still out there? Is it electrons that pop in and out of existence, or protons? I can't remember, but there's no place where there's nothing. There's nothing as far as the idea of that. It's incoherent, and also to think about space-time that way, because you can't. There's no nothing, because time, if you subscribe to the B theory of time, is tethered to space. So before, there's no such thing as before time, because time started with. Yeah, so what was before the Big Bang? Asking that, it's like asking what's north of the North Pole. Now, abiogenesis is a whole other bag of worms. Like I said, that's the origin of life forms. So there's a few things that come into play there. There's the atmosphere, like what we talked about, the air and the water, the chemical compositions of the water, the solar radiation coming down that was breaking its way through that atmosphere, the gravity of the planet. All sorts of factors, the elements available on the surface of the planet to form life. All these things had to come into play. And inevitably that's going to happen in the vastness of the universe and the vastness of the cosmos. There's going to be life forming. I personally believe that it probably formed more than once and will continue to form throughout the cosmos. I don't have any, that's just based on statistics, though. It's not, I don't have any, here's evidence of life out there in the universe or anything like that. I just think that statistically it has to exist, but I digress. So something from nothing, I don't think it's coherent. I think that we can make a case that there are several models that address that. There's the multiverse theory, where it's just an infinite selection of multiverses with the cycle, the wave. There's a few different theories out there, but I don't know exactly which one I adhere to them, but none of them include nothing as the starting point.
Fantastic. Abiogenesis started with BA of worms. Okay, so we've got a super chat. Thank you, Pibothulu. And thank you for all the other ones that came through while you were talking. I couldn't really stop you while you were speaking. So how do marsupials and monotremes fit in amongst mammals?
Okay, so monotremes are the more basal than, we're going to separate them in a completely different group, because marsupials and placental mammals are much more closely related to each other than either of them are to monotremes. Monotremes diverged very early on from the rest of the mammalian lineage, and they developed key features to help them survive in these little microcosms. For surviving monotremes, we have the platypus, which carved out a little niche for itself in Australia in the river systems because it was able to survive. The monotremes dominated Gondwana land for a long time, these egg-laying mammals. Then the marsupials didn't come from Australia. They actually came from South America and migrated into Australia and kind of pushed the dominant monotremes out of all the ecological niches. The thing about marsupials is that they don't do good in the water. There's only one semi-aquatic marsupial, and it's not related to any of them that went to Australia, and it's a water possum. But for the most part, they can't go in the water because they have their pouches, and their babies are in those pouches, and they can't seal those up to prevent the babies from drowning if they tried to swim. So platypi were lucky enough. Platypi is not proper, by the way. It's just fun to say. Platypuses is actually the proper way to say it, but the proper plural to platypi or platypus. But they were able to carve out a niche and survive into modern times in this aquatic environment because no marsupial could fill that niche. The other group is the echidnas, and they all lay eggs, but they diverged way off early at the beginning. As soon as the platypus is a monotreme, stupid whore energy. The echidna is too, and echidnas fill a different niche completely. They fill the same kind of niche as like a hedgehog does or a shrew does in the rest of the world. They're these sort of little small mammal insectivores, really cool creatures, and they also are in niche environments on isolated islands where there were not placental or marsupial animals to fill that ecological niche. Marsupials, like I was saying before, they came from South America. They came to Australia via Gondwana land, via Antarctica. We do find marsupial remains in Australia, or in Antarctica. Of course, we find them in Australia, in Antarctica. But we do find there's still marsupials pretty common in South America, and there's one species that lives up here in North America, as far north as Canada, the Virginia possum. But marsupials really found their footing in Gondwana land because they were there. They didn't have to compete with placental mammals that were dominating the rest of the planet. On their little island, they got to be the dominant mammals and fill all the niches with their descendants. And they were isolated like that until fairly recently in Australia, till the modern times. So there was about 40,000 years ago that the Aboriginal populations showed up there and started wiping out all these this unique megafauna that they had down there. Now, some of it has survived.
What's happened?
Yeah, there used to be all kinds of. Australia used to have large megafauna as well as what they have now. So they used to have like Dipterodont, which was like a rhinoceros-sized marsupial. Big animals like that. They had kangaroos that were 10 feet tall before the Aboriginal population kind of drove them off and wiped them out. They also wiped out the thylacine, the Tasmanian tiger, from the mainland of Australia because they brought dingoes, and dingoes are just descendant from domestic dogs. They're just the domestic dog populations that the Aborigines had when they crossed the sea and came to Australia. So they went feral, and feral dogs, talk about convergent evolutions. Feral dogs will take that same coloration, same body type, will become dominant in the population no matter where they are. That's real-time evolution for you right there. The way a dingo looks, the way a Carolina dog looks, which are the wild dogs native to North America, they look, you couldn't tell which one belonged to which population by looking at them because they devolve into the same basic characteristics in a convergent manner.
Right. So I'm going to take you completely off. This is going to be a bit off topic, but I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. So one of the reasons why I am no longer a Christian today is because I don't see how the supernatural can infiltrate the natural, right? I don't, because there's no evidence for the supernatural, but somehow we're told this story that a woman somehow miraculously just winds up getting pregnant. Somehow a supernatural being was able to insert his seed in this woman. And hence the story that Jesus came and, all that stuff. But from everything we're listening to, this is all in the natural world. There is no supernatural involved here. So, what are your thoughts about this virgin baby from the supernatural world?
Yeah. So, what you're talking about is parthenogenesis, which is basically asexual reproduction.
Right.
It is known from nature. It has occurred. We've tracked it in the highest order. See, it's been found in a lot of lizards, Komodo dragons. We've found it in turkey vultures. There are lizard populations in whip-tailed lizard that the population is completely female and reproduce asexually. But we have never seen parthenogenesis in a mammal ever. So if Jesus was produced through parthenogenesis, because he had to have the genetic material to be actually considered human, so the only genetic material source he would have had would have been from Mary.
Maybe
could have done like they could have done like the Komodo dragons, which doubles the female sex chromosome over to create a male sex chromosome when they reproduce like that. They're the only ones I can think of off the top of my head that the female can actually produce a male offspring. Most of the time they're producing clones. So Jesus, I feel solidarity there. Jesus was trans because
right.
Yeah. Unless
wow. Explain that. Jesus was trans. Please explain that.
Because Jesus, the only had female genetics, right? When organism reproduces asexually, it's a clone of the mother. So Jesus would have been biologically a clone of Mary. Or they could have doubled the. I think that would create a genetic disorder, though, if they doubled the male chromosome in a human. But in the fact that would create a genetic disorder, and Jesus did, as far as we know from any of the historical records, unless Jesus was a Komodo dragon, then Jesus was trans. So those are the two things: either Jesus is a Komodo dragon or Jesus is trans. And let's decide.
Oh gosh.
You can't get an
wouldn't so Beach is right, but then wouldn't Jesus be female? So unless of course it never happened.
Well, Jesus would have been female but presenting as male.
Right.
Expressing as male. That's why I said that Jesus would have been trans, because historically speaking, and he expressed himself as male. Mm-hmm. He had people engage with him, address him as if he was male. The things that were written about him are written as if he was male. So, but genetically speaking, you can't get that. It just doesn't work. He would have only had Mary. He would have been a clone of Mary.
Right. Or, as Titan says, he's been saying for years that Jesus was a Komodo dragon.
Yes. Or Komodo dragon. Yeah, I will leave that little window open that Jesus was a Komodo dragon. You think that would have showed up at the Gospels, though? At some point, they've been like, "Oh, we had to feed Jesus a bucket of chicken legs or something because he was hungry." That would have made Jesus venomous too.
So where did Jesus get his Y chromosome from? It was a miracle, GBC X rocks. A miracle.
I do like the fact that Jesus had two dads too.
Hang on. How did that happen? Two dads? What do you mean two
yeah,
dads?
he had Yahweh and Joseph.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
But Joseph wasn't his dad, though.
I mean, it was his what would you call it? Stepdad? Yeah. But I think he raised him as his own, didn't he? He never said, "I'm not your dad."
Yeah, but there was this whole detailed lineage thing of Joseph all the way back to I don't know who it began from. They took their time to detail the lineage of Joseph all the way back
to David, right?
To David, but Joseph had no business with Jesus's birth.
Yeah.
Whereas Mary, who was the mother, Mary's genes were in Jesus. So Jesus was part Mary and part, I don't know what the other part is, but they couldn't even be bothered to tell us nothing about Mary's lineage, where she came from.
It's because it's a patriarchal society. The Canaan, I think all of Canaan was patriarchal during that time frame, and they had to have a line of heredity going back to nobility to call yourself a king, and they wanted to call Jesus a king.
Oh, poor Shata. Oh, guys. You guys are so funny.
I'll be right back. Give me just a second.
No worries. No worries. You guys are so funny. Oh, goodness. Magic. Someone said, let something shine. Says, magic spit. Oh, God. Here we go. Lizard people confirmed. Oh, my God. Jesus was a lizard person. Jesus was a lizard person, a Komodo. Right. So, Titan says, Komodo dragons don't use X. But W and Z make a male, and WZ make a female. Right. God. All right. God and Joseph. Yeah, he explained that. Yes. What else? From King David. So we have the lineage of Joseph all the way back. But Joseph's sperm just was not in the picture. There was nothing from Joseph. In fact, Joseph was coerced into adopting Jesus, because Joseph was going to just get rid of Mary when he found out he was going to say, you know what? Yes, you were betrothed to me, but I can't handle this because I haven't known you sexually. And of course, the angels had to come in. They had to come and do their magic and coerce Joseph, because God had cheated on Joseph with Joseph's wife to be. Can you imagine a God invading your space, invading your woman like that? And they come and tell you that this is God's wishes, these are God's plans, and you've got to do God's bidding. You just have to, it's a go along, get along crew. They rent a womb. I call them God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. I call them the rent a womb crew, because they had to rent Mary's womb, right? For, I don't know, they don't tell us how many months Mary was pregnant for, but these are the rent a womb crew. Someone made a comment earlier on in the chat about God created humanity, but needed Mary to create Jesus. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't know why. Again, it's line of nobility, right? They need to have Jesus being related to somebody related to back to David to fulfill the. Oh my, Joseph the divine cuckold. If the shoe fits.
Okay. Oh, goodness gracious, you guys.
You've been going for about 2 hours now. You want to pop,
Yes.
open it up, or you want to?
No. You've just come back from work, and listen, we're going to try and finish this here, so you can. We're going to have to do a part 2. But I want people to do me a favor. I've put the links to Hive Science's channel in the chat. I've even pinned it to the top. Do me a favor, guys, and subscribe. You've got about 700 subscribers now.
Yes.
You do amazing work. You take your time. Oh, you were going to show us something as well. You're going to show us the was it the tarantula?
Oh, you want to see the tarantula?
Yes,
show
please.
the tarantula. You want to see the?
No, what? Just show us something.
Show you something.
Yes.
About crab.
Oh, okay, hang on. I'm gonna make you big. Let's see. Oh,
there's a fiddler crab.
A fiddler crab. Oh,
yep.
God.
Yep, that lives in this little pen right here. And he doesn't want to get off me though. And let's see, I've got who's on the.
Oh gosh, look at your tattoo.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Oh gosh, that's.
Yep, I got spiders all over me. Those are the ones you can see.
Oh wow.
Yep. Yep. And we got our little mantis buddy.
Oh look. Oh gosh. How many have you got? The mantises? How many?
Right now, I just got the 3, but I'm going to order some new ones here in the coming weeks because I want to get some Asian giant mantises and they're back in stock. These are not Asian giant mantises, but they're cool nonetheless. I have a tiny little lynx spider that's still a tiny, tiny baby, so you're not going to be able to see that one. What else do I have? Let me see. Got some millipedes.
Oh, these are not the dangerous ones. Is it centipedes?
Centipedes are dangerous. Yep.
The centipedes are dangerous, not millipedes. Ugh.
Millipedes are don't eat them because they're poisonous. But other than that, they're sweet.
Why would anyone eat
they're like tortoises. They're the tortoises of the invertebrate world. Millipedes.
Oh.
All right, and then. Let's hope it doesn't spaz out, but this is a domino roach.
Oh, look at that.
What is that? People don't think about roaches being pretty, but this is a domino roach. They come with orange spots too.
A roach?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're tropical roaches that can be all kinds of pretty.
Oh wow.
And they come in a variety of colors and.
Oh, Mystique wants to see a snake, and that's something I don't want to see. No thanks.
Yeah, I don't no snakes down here to show you. Sorry.
Thank you. Thanks for no well yeah. I mean, if the snake is far away, I don't mind. But if I knew you had a snake in your home, Bree, I would not be visiting your home.
Well, I got
wouldn't.
They're just wild caught earth snakes. They're not anything fancy, just like the little wormy looking ones, little tiny ones.
Thank you for the super chat, CP4 Energy. Does Hive Mind have merch?
I do. I have a Teespring. I have no one has ever bought anything from, but I will drop the link.
Please do. Where is the link?
Well, actually, don't buy anything from it now because it's all. I still have all the old brain bug merchandise.
Oh yes, you still have the brain bug. Yeah, because he's the name of the channel. Sorry, I keep misgendering. Sorry.
You're okay.
The name of your channel used to be Brain Bug. but she has now changed the channel to Hive Science. We're still trying to get used to it, because I remember when you put the poll out, right? The names to change. I chose Hive Science because of all the there was a few. I can't remember what the other ones were, but it just sounded right. So
yeah, I like Hive Science. I'm glad I went with Hive Science.
Yes.
But yes, I will update my my merch there for you, Stupid Horror Energy. But it may be a little while yet. I'm still got a lot of stuff to unpack. We are the hive mind, says Titan. Yeah, I call my I call my patrons my swarm. But I call anybody who
so you hang on. You have a Patreon?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you did. You think you can put that in the links, please?
Yep. There you go.
Oh, someone's just messaged me to say, can you
I don't have a wrench.
Listen, I'm going to do it now. No, you're not in the chat, are you? No. If I can find you in the chat, you think you can just put a comment in the chat and I can change that straight away. Hey, Christopher Bacon, good to see you. Yes, Hive Science. Here you go. That's it. Done.
All right.
So that's your Patreon. Right.
There it goes. There's the link. Okay. That's still the old one too.
Yes.
There's so many things I need to update. Let me I hold on, I'll switch it. That one's gonna lead you to a dead end.
Will it lead you to a dead end?
Yeah, because I changed the URL. So here. This one.
Say a really bad word. Who should say a really bad word? Stupid hoa. Stupid hoa. Energy.
Yes. Live from the Hive is the show I do on Saturdays. Yes. It is usually a fun time. We'll do what I call Cryptic Corner, where we look at some we use like Bigfoot or poltergeist or UFOs, things like that. That people claim. Atlantis was one that we did recently. Then we'll pick apart some creationists or fundy on Creation Watch. And then we'll do some science and Hive Science, or Hive Science News as we're calling it now, since the whole channel's Hive Science now. So if you like that kind of stuff, drop in on Saturday mornings, 9:30 Central Standard Time in the US, which is we are 6 hours ahead of you. So that's, or you're 6 hours ahead of me, I should say. So
I'm 6 hours ahead. So it's past midnight here. But listen, having you on my channel, please don't worry about me. I will be just fine. And there's a request. Some people want you to say a dirty word.
Dirty word.
Why they would want that, I don't know. I'm glad it's not me they've asked.
Fuck if I know.
What did you say?
Huh? I said, well, fuck if I know. It's 2 p.m. Great GMT, by the way, is what time my show is on Saturdays. Or yeah,
I do join in. I do join in sometimes in
Esther's been in there a few times. Yes.
Yes, I have. Absolutely. So, guys, any last questions so we can let Bree go? This has been fun, and you know what I would love to talk about the next time you are here. I would like to talk about sexuality. I would like to touch on that subject. This whole idea of before you joined, this pastor saying gay people should be shot in the back of the head. You hear things like this, and
was that a pastor or was that guy running for office in the U.S.?
His name's Dylan Aws. Dylan Aws. Goodness, it's these are some of the things that I would love to talk about, because when I was a Christian, I was I could never understand why the hate. And I think that's one of the struggles that I had. And I just could not understand for the life of me a God that will create people in this way and penalize them for expressing the essence of themselves. You create them in this way and penalize them for, expressing the very thing you gave them. If God didn't want you this way, you would think He would make you in the way He wants us to be, right? He would make us. I just don't understand, and
well, you run into Calvinism. You keep going down that route. If God created us this way, then people are like, oh well, there's no choice about it. It's just it had to be this way. Oh
goodness. Stupid Whole Energy says to talk about how orgasms evolved. Is that a thing? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Is this a thing?
I did do a video about dolphin orgasms because they have a clitoris that's very similar to a human's clitoris, and they get the similar kind of pleasure out of it. So if you haven't watched that, go check that out.
Oh God, it's on your channel?
Yeah.
You think you can find it and listen, I know what I'm watching before I go to bed.
It's pretty short too. It's a nice little concise. Where was
how orgasms evolved? Oh my, this is fantastic. Where have I been since? I've been watching some very things I shouldn't even. Oh goodness, there's a super chat. Okay, people through Life Science, please.
Cloaca. Monotremes have a cloaca.
What's a cloaca?
It means that instead of having an anus and a vagina or a penis, that you have one that's combined. Chickens have a cloaca, so your eggs come out of a chicken's vagina and its butt.
Oh wow!
Mm-hmm.
So wait, are you saying that my I've recently adopted a ringneck parrot? Would she have a cloaca?
Yes, she would have a cloaca.
Oh, how nice!
Yep. So
I think I'll name her. Well, I wouldn't. I was going to say I'll name her cloaca, but no. No, that would be rude.
Yeah,
that would not be nice. And I don't think she would. Yeah, she knows her name, so.
A ringneck parrot. Is she pretty vocal?
Sorry?
Is she pretty vocal?
Well, she doesn't speak words, but she just make the birdie sounds. But she's not social at all. She beat me the other day. I was trying to clean the cage up and tried to get her, and she beat me really hard.
How long have you had her?
A few months now.
Are you rehabbing her? Months. She come from are you rehabbing her, or is it what you decided you wanted to buy?
So she needed a home. Mm-hmm. So there's a charity. That's what they do. They rehome parrots, and she needed a home and thought, oh, why not? I love parrots, so give her a home. But she's not social. She just leave her be.
She doesn't want to be messed with, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't want anyone to touch her. She would go for you. She will try to bite you if you.
My brother used to have a conure that loved it when I played harmonica with it. Have you tried playing music with her? Maybe that would get her dancing.
Okay. There must be something I can do.
Yeah. I mean, the parrots aren't conures.
Name her Cloaca. Listen, bro guy. Now, I haven't adopted her. I can if I want to, but I'm her adopted parent, right? So imagine calling her Cloaca, and she moved on, right, to someone else. Well, I'm thinking of adopting her, right? So imagine because they have said keep speaking to her. She might learn how to speak. I don't know if that's possible, if that's something she will ever do, speak human language.
Yeah.
So imagine I call her Cloaca, and then she goes on to a new home, and then she's Cloaca. Come on, Cloaca, no, I'm not doing that.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so this is why we wash our chicken eggs beef. Oh, okay. So wow. Oh, this is
Little
interesting.
known fact: Titan Uranus also has a cloaca.
Titan Uranus is a cloaca.
He's got one on the palm of each hand. He doesn't
Oh,
like he doesn't like to be pointed out.
fantastic.
So.
It's also why monotremes are called that.
Mono
Right.
one
Hey,
way.
Lubis.
Exactly.
Holy crap, you got super chats. I just got them today. Thank you, Lubis. Thank you for the super chat. I just got them today. Listen, oh, it was such a delight to receive that message from YouTube. You can now join the what partner thingy. I'm still trying to figure this thing out.
Your
Okay.
YouTube partner now.
Yes, I am.
Oh.
Said sing to her. Your voice is beautiful. Now that's something I've never tried. I will try that because she's very antisocial. There must be something we can do. So I'm not giving up, and I might just adopt her eventually. My boys have taken to her, and that's a good thing. That's a good sign. Yeah, at first it was a struggle. The first few days, my autistic son just couldn't stand the noise, but now he's all right with her. He doesn't mind her. He just lets her do her thing.
So
So yes,
is she green? Is that
I've got a picture. Let's see if I can find the
I
picture.
think I saw you posted on social media a couple days ago.
Oh yes, I that was in it was on Twitter. I responded to your
Oh, asking to see people's pets. I remember.
you something about pets, and
Yes.
I
Not having a
posted her.
great day. Show me your pets.
Yes, I just one second. I've got a video from the other day. Just I'll show that in a second, and yeah, we can end this live stream now. Okay, just one second. So just try and find a little. It's actually a video of of my cloaca. Sorry. Okay, right. I found it here. Let's see. Right, that's her. Okay, so let me share my screen here. She absolutely loves that snack. So yeah, that's her. Her name is Missy.
She's a cutie.
She is.
Yeah.
If
And how do
only
you,
she would let you touch her.
yeah. So you can't handle her at all. She's just terrified of people.
Yeah, she is. Very terrified.
Yeah.
Mm. Terrified of fingers in particular. It's fingers. When the
Yeah.
fingers come anywhere near, she just yeah. So that's Missy. Hive
Your little
science.
dinosaur.
It
She's your little
suits
dinosaur. You know
the
that,
sweet,
right?
sweet cloaca. Yeah. Oh wait, hang on. Did you say dinosaur?
Yes. Birds are
So
dinosaurs.
she's
She's a theropod. Okay, like
the
we're
mini
talking
a
about
mini
how
a mini dinosaur.
Yeah, I remember we were talking about like how humans are in the group with all the other apes, and that group's in the groups with all the other monkeys. So birds are in the groups with all the other birds, with all the other Maniraptorans, which includes like raptors, like Velociraptor, which is all a group with all the other dinosaurs. So they are nested well within Dinosauria. You have a little pet dinosaur. It's pretty awesome.
How nice. How nice. Oh, so unfortunately, super chat donations are not allowed from Barbados on YouTube. Really? That's interesting. I didn't know that. Never
Get it together,
mind.
Barbados. Come on.
Never mind. I would put the link to my, what do you call the other one? What's it called? Um,
Do you have another way to? Is it a Patreon?
no, I don't have Patreon. I forgot the name of it now. Sorry, I forgot the name of it. Cash App.
Cash App.
Cash App. Yes,
Yeah.
I'll put the link on the description, and I will also put the link to your channel in the description. So, but guys, what's the bird's name? Her name is her name is Missy.
Missy.
Yes, she's a Missy. She's about 5 years old. They reckon she's about 5 years old. So
She's still got some years in her then, huh?
Very healthy bird. Very
so she's
healthy.
She's like a teenager. That my boy, she's so moody.
She's a teenager. 5
I don't
years.
know.
I wouldn't know.
What's the lifespan on those? Ringneck parrot.
Oh, thank you, people Thulu. I saw a science educator give a speech about how to fake a creation chicken by explaining and eating a chicken dinner while showing the way the dinosaur bones were so similar as to be virtually identical. Oh, wow. This is interesting.
If she can live to be 40 years old.
No way.
Yeah.
Well, my friend's bird, also a parrot. I don't know if she's a ringneck, but she's about 20 years old, and she's still going. She's still going strong. This bird is. So yes, and they're low maintenance. She's low maintenance. I don't have to take Missy out for a walk. She can just chill.
I tell you what, Peebo Thulu, the feet of other theropod dinosaurs and modern birds, just look at them. They are dinosaur feet. If you look at a cassowary's foot, if you look at an emu's foot, that's a bird, or that's a dinosaur foot. I mean, bottom line, scales.
Thank you all very much. It's way past my bedtime. It's going on 1 a.m. here in the UK. It's 00:33 00:33 hours right now. So way past my bedtime, but it has been fun. Thank you very much for the class on evolution, and I think we will definitely have you back on here, guys. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel. Oh God, let's see. It says Afrohumanist. I once saw a parrot that perfected the word thief. When new guests walk into the house, the parrot will start to shout thief. You know, Missy screams when a stranger just walks through that door. She makes them, I don't know what it is, but she makes them know that she's there. She will go off. So when someone's coming, I have to get her in her cage. When she's in her cage, she's as quiet as a mouse. She will not say a word when anyone comes in. But if she's out of that cage and a stranger walks, just shows their face through the door. She will not stop until that stranger leaves. I don't get it. She won't stop.
Oh, poor birdie.
I know. I don't know what it is. Right, guys. Thank you all very much. I appreciate you all. And please, I've pinned the link to Hive Sciences channel. Please make sure to subscribe to her. She does fantastic work, especially about uh, uh, creationism. And you're very active on Twitter as well, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Yeah. If you want to see me argue with
Oh
fundamentalists,
yes, you do. You do argue with those people. That's something I can't do. I just
yeah.
can't. Have you ever had a conversation with Kent Hovind before?
Not I where I was typing and he was responding
Right. Okay.
on the stream, but never like a face to face. No.
Okay.
Uh,
That's good.
I have been offered to debate him, but I feel icky platforming him, I guess. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That might be something in the future at some point if people want to see that. But I don't really have any interest in engaging with him directly. If not,
Right. Thank you very, very much. So what do you have coming up next? Is it your show on Saturday or
I do have my
anything
show
before
on
then?
Saturday, but on Thursday I have the uh hold on here. I'll see if I can get a link for it. Just a moment. This Willow Creek thing that I'm doing with Josh Etner. Now that's a Bigfoot movie that came out in the early 2000s, and we're going to be like reviewing it.
Oh, nice.
Should be a fun time. But I don't have a link right now. He hasn't sent me one yet, so sorry.
Okay. So, but no, as long as you subscribe to her channel and put your the notification bells on, that's it. You will be there. And guys, thank you all very much. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for the engagement. Thank you. Just your presence here means a lot. And yeah, this is fun. And
Yes.
to talk about evolution and somehow be able to talk about religion in all that mix of things, it's always a lovely time because my thing is religion. My thing is just getting people to start to ask these questions. Don't stop. I mean, I'm over 40 years old, and I could easily say, you know what, never learned about, well, I did have an introduction into what you call it now, evolution, but you're never too old to learn new things. You're never too old to learn new skills and to pick these things up and to uh, um, just keep on doing the research, keep on asking those questions, never stop. And don't, because a book, an ancient book says something, don't stop at just looking at the book because the Bible says or because the Quran says. It's not enough. You need
Keep
to
learning.
ask. Exactly. Right.
And
Hey, someone's here. Cosmic Kyle.
hey, Kyle, thanks for popping in.
Yes, thank you. Right, Afro Humanist. Did you got the channel, Ishak? Ishak, you got the channel? Right, okay. People still thank you. Oh God. I dare you to say that never too old about I dare you to say that you're never too old. No. Okay. I dare you to say that never too old about G-Man. You mean that G-Man's never too old or I'm never too old?
Never too old to learn, I guess. That G-Man's never too old to learn.
The trouble with G-Man, it's not his age, it's the receptors. The receptors in his brain are clogged. So even if you see everything you've talked about here today, he's been taken to museums. He's been shown these things. He's been time and time again, but the receptors are clogged. So, well, yeah, he's not too old to learn, but unfortunately, those receptors have to be unclogged, I think.
To be willing to learn too. Not just old enough or not just the right age, because there's no right age to learn. You can always learn, but you
True.
have to be willing to learn. You have to be open to the information. Yeah, but if you see the information as a threat, which I think that G-Man does, I think that he sees it as a threat to his worldview and says that when you give him this information, he's not trying to understand it, he's trying to debunk it. He's trying to, because you have to justify your worldview. But yeah, that's just my opinion.
Right, guys. Thank you all very much. Good night. And see you again tomorrow. Good night, everyone.
Yep.
Thank you, Bree, for coming.
Thanks for having me. Be kind. Take care.
G-Man has cream on his receptors. Right. Good night, everyone.